2 o'clock.
Okay, everybody, welcome to our Facebook Live here at Home Cooks Conspiracy. We home cooks, we're going to change the world. But it's not so much about cooking, it's about beauty and mystical aspects of the ordinary life. This is what we're about. This is our riddle. This is what keeps us alive, and makes us alive. And so we want to have these conversations, and every Thursday or every third Thursday or something like that, I bring here, I call revelator, a person who has genuinely something new to tell us and take us to a new space and a new way of thinking, maybe asking you a question, have a different point of view that can be helpful to all of us, and no matter what kind of walk of life we are from. So that's what we are up to, mysticism of the ordinary. And right now here I have Mindy Miraglia, who is one of these people that I have seen with my own eyes grow so well and so fast in the last several years. Mindy has been fascinated with walking. And I remember when I was first heard that people are fascinated with breathing, that was a long time ago, and started meditating and breathing. But walking is like breathing, is something that we do every day. And Mindy here lives in Massachusetts, and she is one of these guides through the nature and through sacred spaces of nature in the Berkshires. And we met years ago, and Mindy said, I'm going to go to Camino de Santiago in Spain, and I'm going to walk it. My feet are really bad. And so we decided we're going to call her Happy Feet, and off she went. So what happened there? And tell us, how did that affect you?
Oh my God, it was the hardest thing and the best thing that I've ever done. And I went by myself, and I really found my superpower self. I tell people, I didn't know how resilient I was, how able I was to walk, actually. Even my first day out of the box, I think I walked 8 miles. I'd never walked that much before in one day. So it was really, really quite amazing. Impacted me in countless ways.
Yeah. And then you went again, and I heard you went again.
I did. So during the first walk, I was hooked, and I knew that I wanted to do more, and that I wanted to go back and do it when I felt even more prepared physically and mentally. And I was also working on a business idea that related to the Camino, to pilgrimage walks. And so I wanted to go back and experience it with another lens. So I did it again, and I will do it again. People do it multiple times. I look forward to when space opens up in my life again, that I can go again.
I mean, a lot of us have on our bucket list something like that, to do something ordinary that gives meaning to something, that a lens through which we can see something in you, and then come back to our own space and then practice it and walk differently, live differently. I remember for the first time in my life where I decided not to rush, just walk and enjoy from going from here to there without thinking that I will start living once I'm there, right?
Right, so, it's the journey.
Yeah. Really? What's important about walking, and how is walking sacred?
Well, when I walked the Camino de Santiago, it became my complete focus. I was able to just completely unplug from daily life. And my job every day was to get up and walk and manage my mental state, my emotional state, my physical state, to be really present and aware, and to look for, you'll love this, but this is true, the mysticism in the experience. There's, Camino magic that happens over and over, the problem that gets solved, I mean, there's, the missing sock that shows up. It's true. It literally the missing sock showed up for me.
Mhm.
The people that you meet are such an amazing part of it. And, you realize that it's a metaphor for life, right? That journey of walking, whether you walk the 500 miles or however long that pilgrimage is, it's a microcosm of your entire life. Um, and
Yeah,
it's an amazing experience.
yeah. Uh, Tell me, how did you? Isn't that scary? I mean, somebody tells you what life will, what awaits you, and how difficult life could be. And I don't know if I'll choose my own life. Sometimes when I go with the airplane and I land back in New York, I'm like, would I choose my life the way it is? And then I recommit myself to my own life, to where I'm landing, right?
Mhm.
When you walk, only so much per day, and that kind of allows you to you know to make a mileage and go without knowing. How's that experience there?
Well, it's amazing to do it on your own. I mean, some people go with other people
Mhm.
when they do this journey, or they meet other people and they create a Camino family that they travel with. And I made friends, but I never really became part of a family. For me, it was very much about being in my own body, listening to the pace that works for me. I'm a slow walker. I would always call myself the turtle. And my mantra when I was really getting down and it was feeling slow, I'd say things like, the turtle always wins, like I might be slow, but I'm going to get there. And to be okay with it. Often what'll happen is people will walk by you and they'll say buen camino, like good camino. That's the greeting. It's a hello, it's a goodbye, it's a everything. It's almost like saying peace or something like that. And people would often, keep going by me, keep going by me. And I had to really practice being on my own pace, being in my own experience, hiking my own hike,
Mhm.
and knowing that that's good, you know, not comparing to other people. Huge, huge thing. I think we all do that so much in our daily lives. And I continue to practice that. But I keep remembering, oh, remember when I was walking that walk? The more I don't compare to other people and I just
Mhm.
focus on doing my best every day and tuning into what I need, I can do good work.
Yeah, we all look with a little bit of holy envy, these Buddhist monks who sort of know how to walk and enjoy their walk, and maybe mystics who have sort of embraced the daily life as a revelation all the time. But when you're starting on this path, and and you are running this kind of a walking right now in Berkshires as well. What are the some of the, like, what is the core, the heart of what you want people to live with when they come to Berkshires? What
Yeah.
experience there?
So my business is called Berkshire Camino, and it's a experience where we invite people to go into pilgrimage mindset as they walk. We walk in groups, and what that means is we walk with intention, curiosity, and with an intention to leave a burden behind.
Mm.
And that's a really amazing frame to use. So when we start the walk, we ask people to just sort of like get clear about something that's up for them today. Often people will say, oh, I just want to be really present for the experience. But sometimes people will say, I had a really bad start to the day and something's aggravating me and I'm upset about it. And I want to be able to let that go. And so that would be how we start. And that's different for everybody. And
Mhm.
then we walk with curiosity. And what that means is being really super aware. I love to say we walk at the speed of curiosity. And what that means is we slow down or we literally stop when something stops us in our tracks that we want to, take a look at. It might be something external. Sometimes it's, a beautiful flower. Right now we've got all the spring flowers coming up and that might catch our attention. Um, and maybe it's a bird, but then other times it's a building or how we're feeling. we'll often prompt people to stop and say, hey, like, what are you feeling in your body right now? The one I love to prompt people with is, what's actually going on? What's the mental chatter? Unlike typical walking meditation where a guide might say, we want you to let those ideas go, like, let them pass like clouds. We don't tell people to do that. We say, hey, there's a reason why it's coming up. Pay attention to it. And if you want to share it with someone else and talk about it, you're welcome to do that, because we're trying to create community in this experience.
That's beautiful. I went through a walking tour of Tuscany 2 years ago with the poet David White, and there was about 30 of us, and we walked for 7 days. Like every day we would walk, and it's so amazing how easily it is to connect with somebody, start a conversation, finish the conversation, be alone, connect with somebody else. It's so natural. It's opposite of, those parties when you come and there's like hors d'oeuvres, and you are kind of like networking and it's so stiff.
Yeah.
And this is just completely opposite. It's just free, breathing through the conversation. It's just amazing.
It makes it really fluid. And I've noticed, I'm sure you've noticed, and people who are watching, that when we walk with other people, the time seems to like fly by, and we cover so much more distance than we would even imagine. It's like, oh wow, I just walked 4 miles. How did that happen? We were just deep in conversation and noticing what was going on. So that's one of the things that I love about the opportunity when I am walking with other people, when it's not the solo experience. It changes time. I mean, that's sort of a whole other topic that I don't know that we have time to dive into, but I find that these long distance walks, time becomes very distorted. Sometimes things go slower, sometimes it goes faster. It's a really interesting phenomenon.
Yeah, I noticed that with sailing as well. It's our experience of time. Time is basically our experience, and it can compress or expand, and you lose control over that. In an environment like that. So, what would you tell me? I live in a city. You mentioned birds and trees. Yeah. You did mention a building. But like tons of people, cars. I love New York, and I feel like I go for a walk I love to go for a walk because the sirens are our birds. People's faces are important reference. Art, commercial stuff that's going on, it's also important because it makes you think and it makes you like be critical of culture or tell me like how can people start thinking about like walking where they are? How can I have taste of this walk where I am?
Right. Thank you. You can do this everywhere. It doesn't have to be in the beautiful green rolling hills of the Berkshires or, in vineyards and farmland in Spain. You can do this anywhere that you live. And I think it's amazing to do it exactly where you live in your own neighborhood, because when you walk with intention, curiosity, and letting something go, letting go of a burden, as opposed to walking to get from point A to point B or get your steps in, it's a different experience. You notice things that you wouldn't otherwise notice. And there's a great feeling that you can use to do this. You follow this method, right?
Tell me what the method would be for me. What would I need to do, like to taste it?
Yeah. So, and I'll mention that on my website at berkshirecamino.com, there's a little pop-up that'll happen when people visit, and if they just put in their email address, they'll get a link to an infographic that explains how to make every walk sacred. And so it starts with setting that intention. What is this walk about? Whether it's you're doing it alone or with someone else, and you would, have that communication about what the intention is. And then
I'm such a good host. I put it here. See, people can see. You go to Berkshire.
Yeah, you can read my mind. Samir, you're quick. You're quick.
I mean, who wouldn't want to have this tool? How to make a walk sacred?
Yeah.
I mean, alchemy, taking something ordinary and making it something sacred.
Yeah.
So you're telling me, I also put here, go for a walk. I mean,
Yeah.
what? So tell me these. You told me before about 3 steps. So what would be the first thing, second, and third thing to pay attention to when I go for a
First,
walk?
set the intention for the walk. What's your intention right now for this walk? Second is to walk with curiosity. And that's going to be the real meat of your experience. Being really aware of what you're seeing, what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and honoring that. Not trying to push it away, not trying to, like I said, not being in like a meditative state where you want to clear your mind so much, but to be really focused and curious about it. And then as you're coming to the end of your walk, what I love to do is emulate something that we experience on the Camino de Santiago, which is there's a place that you visit on one of the routes that's called Cruz de Ferro. It's the Iron Cross. And people literally carry a rock with them their whole walk. And when they get to this moment, they put their burden into the rock and they toss it into this huge pile. And then they walk on. It's, for some people, very emotional, a real amazing release. And when we do Berkshire Camino walks, we pattern it after that. We pick up something anywhere. In the city, you might be a little more careful about what you're picking up. But when we walk, in a place like, in the woods where I live, we'll pick up a pine cone or something and just let that be our token. It can be anything. I actually had someone on a walk once who said, I don't feel like I need to pick anything up. I can just scoop it in my hands and hold it. And then he went like that and let it go. And that works too. It's all about intention.
Yeah, I love this idea of ritualizing something, inner reality with outward ritual, so that you can feel it in your body. Like
right.
How do you feel for this stone that is not, big, heavy block? It's kind of a small thing, but it's there all the time.
Yeah.
The time,
And what you can do is people can, do this on their typical, let's say, half an hour walk that they go on. But it can also be used for a longer period. Maybe, on a day that you've got a little extra time, you might say, I'm going to actually go for a 3-hour walk. And I'm going to let it all be about being in this mindset. That might even include stopping and grabbing lunch somewhere,
Yeah.
It's, make it a journey, make it a special day, a special experience that's different from all the other kinds of routine walking that we do.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, Thich Nhat Hanh, he talks about, washing dishes for the sake of washing dishes. But when he wants to describe the importance of a present moment, he uses a concept of walking a lot to help you just be in the here and now, instead of either where you started or where you're going. And because most of life is lived in transitions. Like 50% of our life is in a transition place. We have a very little, William James said that life is in transitions. We all like to think of stages and phases of life, but we dwell in those stages and phases of life for very minuscule time, actually. We are never like, okay, I'm in this stage now and I'm here and that's that and that's the harmony now. No, the moment you are there, it's the moment you are moving. We are people on the move. The humans, as foragers, we have developed who we are by wayfinding. I mean, in a mere 10,000 years, we went from caves to the Mars now, right?
Yeah.
It is, most of this history has been walking. It's people actually, humans as species are the only ones who have this bent to go and walk into the unknown. No other species want to do that. They just kind of like want to settle and be safe. But there's something in us that propels us to move. And I remember just read recently the book of Vincent van Gogh and his brother, and he was probably bipolar and his brother was clinically depressed. I mean, that's like right now kind of accepted fact, historically. and they had such a great relationship and lived very complex lives in the art world. And what helped them actually survive, when you listen about their lives, and he and Theo, through all they do, they just walked and walked and walked. They were basically addicted to walking. If they were not for walking, they wouldn't be able to handle their lives. So when Vincent moved to London, he purposefully found an apartment away from the center where the galleries were. So every day he has to walk to the city. In order to survive. They didn't have those, like, medicine at that time or knowledge, but that's what they intuitively know is holding them. Just incredible. And so I want to invite everybody who is live here or watching the recording of this to go to Berkshire Camino and check it out. I'm looking for an opportunity to go for this pilgrimage with Mindy, and look forward to that. And if you're interested and want to receive it, this is one of the first such pilgrimages in our country. I have not heard anything that is patterns itself after the Camino, and this is just the beginning of it this year, and it's going to be developing, and I look forward to see where it goes. And while you are there, you get this Mindy's tool, How to Make a Walk Sacred. It's an infographic. If we can improve in a small way the way we walk, we will improve our lives so much because we walk so much. It's like adding a cubic inch to your breathing. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So so anything else you want to tell us or send us with?
I just want to mention that there, in terms of Berkshire Camino, there are multiple ways to engage with that. First of all, it is a live thing in the Berkshires. It's not a virtual experience, but you don't have to do a long, multi-day journey. We will be offering that as we evolve. But right now we have half-day walks. So if people are interested in getting, out of wherever they live and coming to the Berkshires, we have a lot of people from, within the New York City, Boston area that love to come to the Berkshires. This is a great way to, spend half of your day, going on a 5, 6, 7, 8 mile walk. So I just wanted to make that point so people don't think, oh, well, I can't walk hundreds of miles, because it's not necessarily that.
Yeah, no, we are doing the baby steps. So these post-pandemic times, instead of going to places that we probably realize we don't need, like a lot of amusement parks, taking yourself, your lover, your children, your parents, your family, your friends for a walk. If you have done this to any extent, the promise of this, that you can actually discover things that will show up to you sideways, things you don't know you're thinking about. You will become aware of them. Things breaking out through a walk that don't happen any other way. So thank you, Mindy. We have went over our time, but it is, I look forward to where this will lead you, and who else will hear about that, and perhaps soon, maybe this fall or definitely next year, see you on the path. I'll
look forward to that. And thank you so much for having me on to be a revelator. I love that word. That's so amazing.
We didn't even have time to talk about how walking is like cooking, which I wanted to talk about, but it is a sister activity. It's what life is made of. You don't need to go anywhere to live, to be alive, if you can learn to pay attention,
right,
and have intention with the things you actually do every day. So, all right. So I'll see you everybody next time on a Home Cooks Conspiracy, when we have our next revelator. And until then, happy cooking and happy walking and ironing and fixing your motorcycle. All right. Bye.